Welcome back to Thursday night with 912 Sports. I'm Kevin Price, podcast host and staff writer for 912. And of course, another high school football Friday night is just 24 hours away, basically. And the big game in the area tomorrow night, actually, a lot of big games in the area tomorrow night. But the game of the week tomorrow night is going to take place in Richmond Hill, up on the hill. It's going to be Brunswick visiting Richmond Hill, both teams 3-0 in Region 2 6A. So obviously first place, sole possession of first place on the line in the region. The winner, of course, will take the inside track on first place halfway through the region schedule. And now here to talk about it from the Brunswick High perspective is BHS head coach Sean Pender. We'll have Richmond Hill coach Matt Lazat later in the program. But Coach Pender with us now. Coach, looking good here on a Thursday. And thanks for your time again. I guess, Coach, the hay's in the barn, so to speak. Has it been a good week of practice for the Brunswick High School Pirates with the game being just 24 hours away?
Oh, yes, sir. We had a solid Monday. We got better on Tuesday. Got better on Wednesday. That's the things you're looking for. This morning we had our run through practice, and we look crisp, and it looks like we're ready to go.
And Coach, obviously, you get 4 days of practice. Of course, you guys watch film. Leading into practice this week, but in 24 hours, from tonight till tomorrow night at kickoff, I know you'll have warm-ups and all that tomorrow night, but between the time when the kids get to school and the time you get on that bus tomorrow, is there any little last-minute tweaking that you guys can do? I mean, will you watch some more film with the quarterbacks or a little bit with your offensive staff or defensive staff, or will there be any more meetings or just kind of what happens on a Friday as you wait to kick it off?
For the most part, the hay's in the barn. We did all the meetings that we're going to do now. Every so often, our position coaches might get with their positions and watch just a little bit more things, maybe try to pick on something else here or there. But typically on a typical Friday, we'll watch, if we have a JV game the night before, we'll watch the film of the JV game, which happens to be tonight, Richmond Hill and us are playing JV. So then we'll watch that and not really looking for anything in particular. We're looking at corrections for us to fix. But when it comes to game time preparation, we do all that mostly the weekend before and maybe a little bit on Monday. But for the most part, it's done as far as the weekend goes. And then we just watch film and we meet with the guys. We make sure they know the game plan and we try to get them mentally, physically, and spiritually ready.
And Coach, obviously, I mean, you can call this a region championship game. I mean, both of you guys are 3-0, and of course, this is game 4. Regardless of who wins and who loses, you both have 2 region games left. Of course, I guess I'm going to say it. You don't have to say it. They have maybe one more tougher opponent than you do in the fact that they still have to play Glen Academy, and you've already got Glen Academy behind you. So maybe from that standpoint, they have a little bit of a tougher schedule awaiting them, coming up. But, Coach, I mean, the bottom line is the winner definitely has the inside track and controls their own destiny. There's more football to be played, so you can't necessarily win or lose the region championship tomorrow night, but no doubt the winner takes a huge step forward in making their way to a possible region championship. I guess your kids understand the implications, but no, there is more football to be played, win or lose, after tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth about how that goes. Yeah, this is a huge game for us. I mean, it's goal number 1 was the city championship. That one's accomplished. Goal number 2 is the region championship. And to win the region championship, one of the things you got to do is knock off the defending region champs. And we have the opportunity to go up to their place and play them on their field and have the, like you said earlier, the inside track. I mean, we do have Glen Academy behind us. Now it's Richmond Hill, and Richmond Hill is the only team we're focused on right now. And yeah, we're going to take every game, as long as we're undefeated in this region, and treat it like it's a chance to win the region championship. So this week it's Richmond Hill, and that's the only game that we're worried with at this time. Next week we'll worry about our next opponent. But Richmond Hill we have to beat them in order for us to have a chance to win this region.
Well, Coach, I think you can win next week because that's an off week. If you can't handle that one, we got a problem.
I don't know if we'll win, but we're not going to lose.
Okay. All right, well, Coach, let's look at this Richmond Hill team. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of them. Have followed them all year. I know they look awfully good in their highlight reels. Of course, that's obvious. But my big question about this Richmond Hill team coming into the year was where would they get their offensive production from, losing Jalen Rouse? But obviously, they've gotten it from a couple of other backs. Their quarterback looks good. They're just getting the job done offensively in a different way. But defensively, they're hell on wheels once again, and they're really good on special teams. But when you look at this Richmond Hill team and study them in all three phases of the game, is it safe to say that they are a year better than they were a year ago, and are playing better football with the target on their back as opposed to being the team that's kind of doing the chasing like they were last year?
Oh yeah, they're definitely playing really good football, Kevin. I mean, offensively, they're a lot better this year than they were a year ago. A year ago, you knew you had to try to stop this one guy, and if you were fortunate enough to stop him, you're pretty much going to stop their team. But this year, it's different. And it's not just the guys they have at the perimeter; it's the guys they have blocking for them. Their offensive line's solid. They got a good guy there. They got a good guy pulling the trigger. He's a lot more poised than he was a year ago, and then of course the weapons they have at receiver and running back. I mean, they're salty on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they got all those dudes back. They're a year better. So we have to concentrate on making sure we do us the way we know how, and we understand what we're going up against, and we have to execute our game plan. We got to make sure we take care of the football. We got to make sure that we get off the field on third downs. We have to do all this. We have to win in the kicking game, or at least don't lose in the kicking game. As far as that goes, we can't turn the ball over in any aspect. And maybe and hopefully with me saying all that, maybe we cause them to turn the football over. Maybe we get a block kick, or one of them drop a punt, or something along that line. The bottom line is we're going up there to win the game. We're not going up there to try to play it close. We're gonna sell everything out. We're gonna unload every bullet we have, and let the chips and cards fall where they may.
And Coach, when you look at preparing for this team, I know there were certain things that maybe you wanted to shore up offensively and defensively, particularly defensively coming out of the Statesboro game. I think you guys kind of seem to be hitting your stride offensively in terms of execution, and it may just be a matter of keeping that up offensively. But when you really look at Richmond Hill and what they do well on both sides of the ball, as you guys were game planning and having the scout team run things on the practice field, what were maybe two or three things that you were really focused on in terms of getting ready for this game in particular?
Well, we've been preaching getting off. We say third down's the money down, right? We've been preaching on getting off the field on third down. That's something that we're going to try to emphasize on. Try to put them in positions to give them more difficult play calling. Like if we can get them behind the sticks or something on first down, where they have to try to push it upfield a little bit. Try to get them to be predictable in what they're wanting to do. These are all things our defense is going to try to accomplish. And then, offensively, this will be a big test to see if we really are hitting stride, because this will be the best defense that we've seen all year. And we'll find out what happens.
Well, Coach, let's talk about that. I mean, really, you guys have run the ball pretty well against everybody. You've got that Wolfpack, that duo back. Reese Simmons continues to run the ball well. You got Jacoby Hill, who I know is coming off that injury and seems to be getting a little better each week. Maybe the only team that really has stop jaw was possibly Pierce, but that's with you guys losing Jacoby on this second possession of the game, I guess, or very early in the first quarter anyway, and you're having to kind of adjust on the fly. But since then, you guys have pretty well run the ball on anybody. In this game right here against this Richmond Hill defensive front that includes Nathan Vickers, the defending or the Region Player of the Year defensively last year, and the Brooks kid up there as well. The run game, the pass game, they're probably not going to give you a whole lot to work with anywhere, and you've got to earn your yards. I mean, so how do you game plan to move the football against this team? Because they're tough and rugged up front, and that's really where you got to win the battle.
Well, you have to be balanced against a team that's as good as this. You have to be balanced. You're going to have to be able to not only move the ball through the ground, but you're going to have to be able to move it through the air as well. So we have to have real good play by our quarterback. He's got to be able to check us out of poor situations and put us into good situations. He's got to be on point with that. We have to change up the pace here and there. You got to keep them off balance. You got to keep them working. You got to take shots, and hopefully, when you take your shots, they pan out. These are things that we have to do. We have to win the one-on-one battles because we're going to have some one-on-one situations against some pretty solid defensive backs, but we're going to have to win those battles. We're going to have we're going to have opportunities there to create situations where our receiving core or maybe our back is in a one-on-one situation, and we're going to have to win that. We're going to have to win that situation offensively against a team as good as what we're going to see defensively as Richmond Hill. I'm also going to point out, Kevin, we did have trouble at the beginning of the year, but there's a little thing out there called COVID that hurt us the first couple games of the season with us having some key players out also. And as long as that stays in the back seat and we're able to be fully loaded, I do think that our chances of winning every game we play, it's increased dramatically, especially with having all of our players back from COVID.
And Coach, you may not want to tell me this, but I know you're a big fan of the shovel pass and the screen game, and is the way to slow this front down to get that ball out in the screen game and get it away quickly.
Yeah, you never want the quarterback to have to hold the ball long. So, the quarterback, especially against a defensive front like this, he has to get the ball out quick, whether that has to do with the shovel passes or screens or just taking deep shots right away, like quick ones or play action passes that which the quarterback has the ball a little bit longer on a play action pass, but hopefully you can draw them in with a good play fake or something like that. That's part of it also, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands as fast as possible when you have players like they have on the defense.
And Coach, I know when they had the ball, I guess maybe you call it a traditional offense with their quarterback taking the snaps, and I know they line up in I guess the Wildcat, which is fitting for them being the Wildcats. But is it pretty much the same offense regardless of who's taking the snaps, or is it kind of like preparing for two different offenses? And I know we talked about this a little bit. So many teams are multiple these days, even though they say they might run spread, that in any given week you're preparing for a lot of offenses and a lot of looks. So even though they may be jumping into two or three different offenses out there, it's really nothing maybe that you haven't had to do in terms of preparation. But are they really running like two different offenses when they change the quarterback or the guy taking the snaps at least?
Not when it comes to the run game. When they change the guys taking the snaps, they might have more tendencies. Of course, when you have their main quarterback there, the threat of the passes is more effective. I mean, they will throw the football with the other guys back there, but they're just not as accurate, as they are with their main quarterback. But it's become a norm now, Kevin. There's so many teams that have either a wildcat package or another type of package that they put in there for defense to have to prepare for. It's just something that it's all in our game plans anyway. It's all in our practice plans to make sure we are able to handle these situations. And, I think the biggest difference you're seeing this year compared to years past is years past, like you would have 7-on-7 OTAs in the summer. Like one thing on 7-on-7 is you see every type of offense. Like they'll spread it, they'll be empty, so that your defense is actually being able to see all these different types of looks in the summertime, and then you'll go and play an inside run game with the OTA against somebody else, and you'll see all this power stuff running. So we don't have that this year. We had to get it as we go, but it's just something that's become the norm in today's high school football in South Georgia. Is you're going to have a multiple spread / wing T concept, or spread / wishbone concept, or a spread / wildcat package concept, or an option / power concept. It's all there, and we have to prepare for that anyway. So it's not like a big surprise to us anymore. We had a spread slash single wing that we had to deal with a few weeks ago. So, nothing's going to surprise us. We'll be ready for it. Our kids know how to adjust on the run. So it's just going to come down to basically, do we have the personnel to match up, and do we have the will to win?
And Coach, when it comes to special teams, I mean, we know about their kicker. We'll let Coach Lazat talk about him later on. We talked about him in our podcast earlier this week, but been real impressed with your kicking game this year, both punting and your kicker kicking off Rayburg and kicking PATs and field goals. I mean, they really only have to cross midfield, if that, to possibly reach for a field goal. But in terms of you, I know you plan on having an aggressive game plan tomorrow night. You really have nothing to lose but a football game. All the pressure is really kind of on Richmond Hill. You guys maybe are playing with house money, so to speak. But in terms of when you will go to Rayburg, at what range, I know it may be depending on the circumstances tomorrow night and what way the wind's blowing and all that kind of good stuff. But just in general terms, I mean, where do you kind of feel comfortable going to him at in terms of a range for a field goal?
Well, it is all circumstantial, Kevin, but it just depends. It depends on, again, like certain factors that you said. If it's a clear, crisp night, and he's on, I feel comfortable with him anytime we're inside the 30-yard line.
Simple enough. All right. Well, good deal. So we'll keep that in mind. And Coach, you mentioned other things like COVID. Hopefully nothing happens to you or Coach Lazat like happened to Coach Pruitt a couple of weeks ago when he got several starters over there in coffee poured out on him in the pregame meal. That had to be a nightmare for that game. But Coach, I know one guy that you hope to get back maybe is A.J. Wilson. I don't know if you can talk about him, but I know he missed some time last week. I don't know if you're free to talk about whether or not he'll be available tomorrow night. But how are you kind of injury-wise after a practice week going into this big game tomorrow night?
Well, this time of year, Kevin, you always have people banged up. That's just football. I'm pretty sure us and Richmond Hill, both guys have guys that are a little bit of a twisted ankle, bruises, sore shoulders, all that stuff. I mean, it is what it is. We have, a couple of AJ will dress. He will attempt, but how long he lasts, we don't know. But we're going to be plenty capable with the guys we have in there doing. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and of course AJ's a linebacker, but several guys played well. The Stanley kid and also Mawiba, who was the defensive player of the week that Coach gave me anyway. So several guys can certainly step up and play well.
I gave you both,
sir.
I gave you both. I gave you Stanley and Mawiba.
Coach, I know Richmond Hill is going to have a good crowd when you look up in the stands. They've had good crowds all year up there on the hill. Any kind of idea of what kind of crowd the High may take up to Richmond Hill tomorrow night?
I think we're going to have a pretty good group come up there traveling. I really do. I know that our full band's not coming, but we are having more than we thought we were going to have band-wise. We're going to have a few of them coming to at least a drum line and maybe a few more, but it won't be the full band that would actually perform at halftime.
All right, well, no problem. Well, Coach, I don't know if that was an important phone call or not, but we're going to let you take it. And I know you got some other things to get to, and I know it's going to be hopefully a relaxing Thursday night for you. I know on the eve of a big game like this, several things probably go through your mind to make sure you did get all the hay in the barn. But, Coach, again, we appreciate your time, and try to relax tonight, try to have a good day tomorrow and a good ride up to Richmond Hill tomorrow night, and good luck. And regardless of what happens, we'll look forward to talking to you on the back end, and look forward to the rest of the good 2020 season for the Pirates.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And as always, go Pirates.
All right. Thanks, Coach. That was Sean Pender, BHS head football coach, getting ready for the big one tomorrow night up on the hill. Brunswick against Richmond Hill, the 912 Sports Game of the Week. Richmond Hill, of course, ranked in the state top 10 in 6A. Brunswick just sitting on the outside. A win over Richmond Hill could possibly propel the Pirates into the top 10. The winner will definitely have the inside track on the region championship as we go down the stretch here in the regular season. So we'll certainly have our eyes on the score up there in Richmond Hill. And, of course, Storm and Norman will have the score on the Storm and Norman scoreboard show, brought to you by Robbie Robertson Ford on Saturday morning. Speaking of our sponsors, let's run through the list real quick before we take a break. Coastal Pines Technical College, Prime South Bank, Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty, and Gibson's Animal Clinic. We'll be back with more here on Thursday night with 912 Sports right after these messages.